coming back to talking about this prime minister again, because of our interaction with him have been quite intense on sports. And he has often talked about the role that sports can play in the nation's character building. Was there any talk around that?
Yeah, there absolutely was. And he quite rightly, we both agreed that one of the big challenges that will probably be a drag anchor on the ability of countries to be able to meet the economic challenges of being, a global player is going to be the health and fitness, both mental and physical, of workforces.
Correct.
And the challenge going forward is that more and more of our global population are physically inactive. I think by 2030, something like a third of the nation, a third of the global population will be formally designated as physically inactive. And to put that into just a simple perspective, it means that a large proportion of your community are not physically able during the normal course of a day to see through that day in optimal fashion. It's, not actually, frankly, wanting to climb a flight of stairs. Now, that has a profound impact, I think, and we both agreed on that, in terms of added burdens to your healthcare system, patterns of illness that become prevalent maybe decades in advance of when they should. Young people in their 20s with diabetes and some preventable illnesses that normally wouldn't surface unless in populations that were sort of getting towards their 60s. All this is a challenge, and I can't speak for India, nor would I want to, but in the UK, the sobering statistic here is that between the age of 8 or 9 and about 12 or 13, the average British child becomes 50% less active. And if you extrapolate that through to a situation where you've got that kind of pattern being set for the remainder of their lives, then you really do have the added burden that an aging population becoming less and less fit and demanding and needing more health care for illnesses that actually are preventable. Not every illness is a causality of physical inactivity, but my goodness, there is more than a link there.
Correct.
And we
Yeah.
know whether it's heart and lung, whether it's stroke, whether it's certain types of cancers, whether it is it is certainly mental and cognitive skills. All these are complemented by having a nation that is fitter and healthier. In the UK, if you can shift the dial 0.5% on the nation's fitness, you can take it up literally at one fell swoop about 1 billion out of the national healthcare burden, and that's not a straight linear equate. That's not a straight linear graph. That actually really becomes quite dramatic if you can even get a 1.5% increase.
And imagine if the same thing were to extend to the entire world. Look at the numbers and what is the kind of savings that can accrue for all the countries to put into other things which are more important and more pressing.
Well, yes, and also even when you've got healthcare budgets, you can be targeting things that are really managed that are posing you some big challenges rather than actually just focusing your budgets on very reactive situations to health, to patterns of health that really don't need to be as profound as they are. And this is look, it was pleasing to hear a politician, a leader, talk in such long-term ways. I mean, you we're all guilty of this as politicians. You tend to think about the next election, but I've been a politician. I know we all tend to think in terms of electoral cycles. It was comforting to listen to a politician, a world leader, talk about outcomes that probably won't come to fruition within his own remit as Prime Minister, and that's a good thing. You know, we do tend to think rather short term, and it was comforting to hear somebody with such an embracing vision that was looking decades ahead, not just about the next electoral cycle. Of course, the electoral cycle is important. You want to be there to be able to implement those policies, but it's really important that you do think beyond the curtilage of the next election.